Right now, as you watch this, there are 5-star hotel rooms in Dubai going for less than a budget motel in Manchester. Luxury properties on the Palm Jumeirah and the ones with the infinity pools and the butlers and the views that used to sell for 3,000 AED a night are quietly offering complimentary upgrades, free F and B credits, and flexible cancellations just to get anyone, through the door. The Shangri-La, the Taj. Properties that wouldn't return your call 2 years ago are now sending you promotional emails every other day, and the numbers behind that desperation are staggering. Hotel occupancy in Dubai, which hit 84% in December 2025, one of the strongest months in nearly 2 decades, has now crashed to somewhere between 15 and 20%. In some pockets of the city, industry data suggests single-digit occupancy. Single digits. In a city that welcomed 19.59 million tourists in 2025 alone, its highest annual total ever recorded, from record high to near empty, in weeks. So what happened? And more importantly, was this always coming? To understand why this moment is so shocking, you have to understand just how good things were. In January 2026, 5-star hotels across Dubai were running at 82% occupancy. Emirates Airlines was at capacity. Dubai International Airport had handled 92.3 million passengers in 2024, making it the busiest international airport on Earth. The city had broken its own tourism record 3 years in a row. Dubai's Department of Economy and Tourism wasn't just celebrating, it was projecting, targeting, building more. The pipeline of hotels, resorts, and luxury residential towers never stopped. Real estate prices had surged 17.4% in a single year. Apartment rents rose 29% in 2025 compared to 2024. Villas went up 28%, and still people were coming. Businesses were setting up. The Golden Visa program was handing out long-term residency at a pace that suggested Dubai genuinely believed it had become a permanent city, not just a spectacle. Julius Baer's 2025 Wealth Report ranked Dubai 7th in the world for luxury real estate prices. Mercer ranked it the 15th most expensive city globally and the most expensive in the entire Middle East. This was not a city in decline. This was a city drunk on its own momentum. And then, in late February 2026, the world reminded Dubai of a lesson it thought it had escaped forever. Geography is destiny. Industry insiders describe what happened next, not as a slope, but as a cliff edge. When tensions between Iran, Israel, and the United States escalated into open conflict in late February 2026, the travel world didn't slowly recalibrate. It panicked. Within 48 hours of the initial escalation, global travel management companies reported that 60% of existing Dubai hotel reservations had been canceled. Group bookings, conferences, incentive travel, weddings saw cancellation rates approaching 80%. Then the governments moved. The United States, the United Kingdom, Germany, France, India, China. One by one, they suspended flights to Dubai International Airport. The FAA cited heightened security threats and regional instability. The EU's aviation safety body issued parallel bulletins. 14 nations, representing 68% of Dubai's international tourist base, either suspended flights or issued Level 3 travel advisories telling their citizens, reconsider this trip. Occupancy rates sitting at 89% on March 15th fell to 23% by March 19th. 4 days. That's all it took. Hotels still operating reported 70% cancellation rates for April and May reservations. Total projected losses for Q2 2026 alone, over $890 million compared to the same period last year. More than 226,500 short-term rental bookings were canceled across the UAE between late February and late March, according to AirDNA data. And at Dubai International Airport, The airport that had just handled 92 million passengers in a single year, terminals that normally never sleep, went quiet. The world's most engineered aviation hub, temporarily, became a very expensive ghost town. Here is where the story gets more complicated and more honest, because the 2026 conflict didn't create Dubai's vulnerabilities. It just exposed them. Long before the first flight cancellation of 2026, something quieter was already happening, something the marketing machine was spending enormous energy to hide. Rents in Dubai rose 29% in a single year. A one-bedroom apartment in a mid-range area now runs between 70,000 AED and 110,000 AED annually. Dubai now ranks the 15th most expensive city on earth. And here is the part that doesn't get written about enough. Salaries didn't keep pace. A Cooper Fitch survey found that 26% of businesses planned no salary increases in 2025. Rent going up 29%, wages flat. For the expatriate population, which makes up over 88% of Dubai's total residents, that equation has only one solution: leave. The middle-income expat, the backbone of Dubai's consumer economy, the person filling the malls and the restaurants on a Tuesday afternoon, has been quietly pricing out of the city for 2 years. Not with protest, not with drama, just with boxes and a one-way ticket home. Then there's the heat. Summer temperatures in Dubai now regularly exceed 50 degrees Celsius, 122 degrees Fahrenheit. That's not a statistic. That's a city that becomes physically uninhabitable for roughly 6 months of the year. A city with no forests, no heritage old town, no natural landscape, no mountains. When the outdoors becomes a health hazard, you're left with air-conditioned malls, and the world has already seen those. And beneath all of it, the migrant workers from Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Nepal, and the Philippines who build every tower, staff every hotel, clean every lobby. They were already living through a quiet crisis before 2026 made it catastrophic. Now, with tourism revenues down 50 to 80% in some segments, restaurants operating at minimal capacity, and hotels placing entire departments on unpaid leave, those workers are using words that echo a previous catastrophe. This feels like COVID again. The World Travel and Tourism Council estimates the region is losing $600 million per day in visitor spending. That money doesn't disappear. It comes out of wages, shifts, and livelihoods of people who came to Dubai because they believed in the promise. And then there is the problem at the very core of Dubai's identity. For decades, Dubai's greatest strategic asset wasn't the Burj Khalifa. It wasn't the airport. It was the handshake, the ability to host Russians and Ukrainians, Israelis and Iranians, Americans and Chinese, all in the same city, all in the same week, without ever being forced to take a side. That neutrality was the real product Dubai was selling, and it held until it didn't. The Abraham Accords brought Israeli tourism flooding in. Tel Aviv to Dubai became one of the fastest-growing flight routes in the world. Then October 7th happened, and across the Muslim world, Dubai's relationships became a liability instead of an asset. Boycott campaigns reached hundreds of millions of impressions. Gulf Arab tourists, historically Dubai's most consistent high spenders, began quietly choosing other destinations. And now, in 2026, a conflict involving Iran, Israel, and the United States, 3 countries whose citizens and capital all flow through Dubai, has turned the city's geographic neutrality from a brand asset into a geographic trap. Dubai has survived before. The 2009 debt crisis nearly broke it, and Abu Dhabi bailed it out. COVID emptied it, and it came back stronger than ever, posting record after record from 2022 through 2025. The infrastructure is real, the ambition hasn't died, and conflict, as history shows, does eventually end. But here is the deeper question that the 2026 crisis forces into the open. Dubai built everything on being indispensable to everybody. the transit hub, the neutral ground, the place where the rules of the outside world didn't quite apply. It sold that vision aggressively, relentlessly, expensively. And for a long time, the world bought it completely. What happens when indispensability turns out to be conditional? What happens when the workers who build the skyline can no longer afford to live near it? When the tourists who fill the hotels find cheaper, cooler, less complicated alternatives in Southeast Asia or their own backyards? When the neutrality that made the city a safe harbor becomes the neutrality that makes it a target zone during someone else's war? The Burj Khalifa is still the tallest building in the world. The Dubai Mall is still the most visited shopping destination on earth. The fountains still dance at exactly the same time every night. But a city is not its skyline. A city is the people inside it, the money moving through it, and the trust that keeps them both coming back. Right now, in April 2026, all three of those things are under pressure in a way they have never been simultaneously before. So I'll leave you with the question I can't answer, but can't stop thinking about. Is Dubai's model, the idea that you can build a global city from scratch in a desert, on migrant labor, sustained by the idea of permanent neutrality in a region that has never been permanently neutral? Is that model actually sustainable? Or has the world just been watching a very long, very spectacular, very expensive proof of concept slowly run out of road? Drop your answer below. Because the next video I'm making is about the other cities that borrowed from the Dubai playbook, and the clock is already running.